I'm Cynthia Izaguirre with a look at your headlines from across North Texas. And we begin with additional sentences handed down this week in the Alvarado ICE attack case. It comes 1 year after an officer was shot and wounded outside the Prairieland Detention Center. Scoop Jefferson was inside the courtroom as those sentences were handed down.
A second round of defendants convicted after the ICE detention facility protests turned violent learned their punishments.
For bravely protesting ICE detention.
Outside the federal courthouse in Fort Worth, reaction from the defendants' families, friends, and activists.
Any contact.
On July 4, 2025, prosecutors say a group gathered outside the Prairieland ICE Detention Center in Alvarado to protest. The demonstration turned violent, investigators say, during a shootout that left an Alvarado police officer injured. The group's leader, Benjamin Song, already sentenced to 100 years. In federal court Wednesday morning, the latest round of defendants facing sentencing all struck plea deals for leniency. Among them, Inez Soto, who received 50 years, a statement read by his son outside the courthouse.
It is up to all of us to push back. Remember that this happened. Remember how it happened.
And even more leniency for defendant Seth Sykes, sentenced 6 years. His attorneys calling it fair and explaining why the judge had more mercy on their client.
Our client didn't do any damage, but he was there with the group.
The judge handed down 22 months to protester Nathan Ballman, whose attorney had his mother and brother testify on his behalf.
They basically echoed what Nathan had told the judge, that this was out of character for him.
Early on, authorities characterized the seriousness of that night outside the detention facility.
This was an egregious attack on federal and local law enforcement officers.
More defendants are scheduled for sentencing next week, and lawyers for everyone involved await possible state charges from the Johnson County DA.
My guess is that they're going to take some time to digest what happened today.
In Fort Worth, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Neighbors across North Texas have been beating the drum in their fight against data centers. This as the state becomes one of the centers of the booming AI industry. As Brittany Costello reports, they might have found a powerful politician on their side.
Concerns are growing.
We do not believe that data centers are good for Fort Worth.
In Fort Worth and North Richland Hills.
I feel like I met with a used car salesperson.
Many share the sentiment seen from the sky in Red Oak.
I don't want them in my neighborhood.
Same goes for Levon.
Definitely we want them to understand, listen, and truly see where their community is coming from.
Folks in Henderson County worry data centers will soon consume precious state resources.
It's going to affect their reproduction. It's going to affect, their water.
On the campaign trail Tuesday,
pushing back.
Governor Greg Abbott addressed the surge of developers looking for land to build technology warehouses.
We must prohibit them from building AI data centers in rural Texas neighborhoods.
While that may sound like a victory for folks rooting against them, Fort Worth City Councilman Michael Crane has another take.
What I've heard from him is let's put some smart regulations in place that really address the problem and the issue.
Crane says 5 new data centers are in various stages of construction. Those will add to 4 facilities he says have been around for years.
In Fort Worth, the city is working on new regulations specific to data centers. Everything from its water use to its strain on the electrical grid, even its noise impact to neighbors.
The city is moving through a rulemaking process.
People still aren't happy with that.
I think, honestly, Brittany, I go back to this myth and misinformation.
He looks forward to what he believes the governor hinted at. Data centers could be a top priority for state lawmakers.
Any AI data center even thinking about coming here, they got to bring their own money, bring their own power, reuse their own water, and do it in a way that reduces the cost of electricity for residents across our state.
In Fort Worth, I'm Brittany Costello.
A new policy is in place with Dallas police. The dress code was loosened to open the path for more potential recruits. But as Tiffany Liu reports, some feel this does not address the bigger issue for the city's officers.
Police officers traditionally dress a certain way.
From the day I joined the department in 1994, I was always taught that your appearance is your first level of defense.
But here in Dallas, that definition is changing.
The policy revision to our general orders to grooming and appearance.
Over the years, Dallas Police Department has loosened restrictions. In 2024, visible tattoos were approved, along with groomed and natural beards. Now, 2 years later, new updates are effective immediately.
We've standardized on a baseball hat. We already had, a tattoo policy, but now it allows specifically for stuff to go down and onto your hands. They included nose piercings.
To Sean Pease, the Dallas Police Association president, there are far more concerning issues than this.
They're talking about removing all this money, and our overtime is the cause of these budget issues and all that.
And on the same day the dress code changes were announced, some city employees learned they'll be furloughed for 3 days.
Officers want to feel comfortable with their funding.
Sheldon Smith with the National Black Police Association Dallas says the city of Dallas budget crisis should be the focus.
The dress code change is a string of changes in appearance. But at the end of the day, we want to be safe. We want to serve the citizens of Dallas, and we want to make sure that they're safe.
Both association leaders agree the lack of funding will impact recruitment and retention more than any baseball cap or tattoo, more than any piercing.
That policy change is minimal.
Appearance, they say, is a small part of a much bigger conversation for policing in Dallas.
Honestly, I got bigger fish to fry.
I'm Tiffany Liu.
The Universal Kids Park in Frisco is officially open. It is the latest testament to the booming growth the city has seen, but the project came with concerns over the traffic it could bring. Richard Solomon details opening day.
2, 1!
Just off Universal Parkway, you can find Frisco's newest attraction, Universal Kids Resort, finally open.
Everything good today for you guys? Excellent.
And just down the road, a new business already hoping to cash in on the crowds.
You know, certain days will be busier, some days slower. Saturday, Sunday, we do well.
Christian Navarro is the manager of Brunch District. They just opened a month ago, practically built around the same time as the resort.
You know, we got the fields, the PGA course, Universal right across the way. So, you know, in your time, it's gonna be busy all the time.
And that's why this is the perfect spot. Navarro has lived in Frisco for the last 9 years. He's seen what growth has done to this area. And Google Earth shows how much this area has grown.
A lot of dirt roads, a lot of single-way streets.
From 2016 to the latest update last year.
It's grown, and it's kind of crazy.
And with all this happening so fast, it does bring up concerns of traffic buildup.
Our engineering team planned for it. So the roads and infrastructure was put in advance.
Frisco Mayor Jeff Cheney says they kept that in mind specifically with this design. The resort works in off-peak hours.
Along the tollway, you don't want to build all offices, right? Because they're coming and going at the same time. And so this was a great traffic mitigation tool.
As Frisco continues to grow, businesses are betting this newest destination won't just bring visitors.
So I think it's just it's a recipe for success here.
It'll help shape the city's next chapter. In Frisco, I'm Richard Solomon.
And that's a look at your headlines from across North Texas.